we'll get you a mic.
How's everybody doing today? Good. I missed you all yesterday.
Are you coming through?
I traveled all the way to Birmingham to see folks like you, and I traveled all the way to Mobile to see folks like you. And I really did miss you guys, and girls and ladies. But, you know, really not much to talk about, you know, other than we did review the film of the Tennessee game and reviewed it yesterday with the players. Actually gave them, you know, the day off yesterday as well as Sunday. But I was really pleased with the way the team responded in the second half of the game, and I was especially pleased that a lot of the players, you know, contributed to that at halftime in terms of, you know, some of the senior leadership and some of the guys that have done a really good job for us. And I think that really had a lot to do with the spark and picking up the intensity and mental energy that we had in the second half of the game, and something that we want to do all the time. You know, we want to be instant on and start fast and finish strong. You know, there's been 2 games this year where I didn't think we did, but I think the rest of the time we really have been ready and done a good job. You know, special congratulations to Dante Hightower for being the SEC Player of the Week and the Lott Trophy Player of the Week. I think that's a tremendous honor to be the Player of the Week for the entire country. Today's practice, you know, basically the goals of what we're trying to do today and tomorrow especially is improve our deficiencies as a team. We make a quality control list of everything that we want to try to work on at every position, and also with individual players, things that they need to improve on, and things that, you know, we need to work on collectively as a unit, whether it's a special teams group or offense, defense, whatever it might be. And you know, today's practice was quite a bit of kicking game and some special situations, but more like a Monday's practice for us. Tomorrow we'll work hard on fundamentals and start later in the week in our preparation for, you know, the upcoming game we have next week with LSU. You know, I apologize. I did not think of, I knew Alex Watkins after the game broke his arm in the game. I did not know, I knew Cyrus got injured. I did not know, we did not know until after the MRI what the significance of his injury was. But Jonathan Atchison is also going to be out with bicep surgery later in the week. Anthony Steen has been cleared and did practice today. So that's kind of the injury report as I know it.
Start with Cecil.
Just to follow up, Coach, talk about what the rotation is on the offensive line now. If Anthony can come back and with Cyrus out.
Well, you know, first of all, it doesn't affect any starters. He was just the first guy that we would put in at left tackle, and Barrett was the guy that could play center or right tackle. Now, you know, Shepard is the backup right tackle. He's been the backup right tackle all year. Tyler Love is the backup left tackle. But Alfred McCullough has played tackle for us and started in games for us at tackle here before. And we will get him some work at tackle so that he could be a backup tackle as well. And that's pretty much how we'll try to go about it.
Thank you. Chris.
Was that about a good game that Hightower's ever played here in Alabama?
He played a really good game. I think he made a lot of plays. I think he had like 25 production points, which, you know, is a pretty significant amount. We've only had a few guys have more than that, you know, ever since we started doing this type of thing. And, you know, that's a lot of tackles, a lot of bad balls, interception. Really did a really good job and did his job well in the game. And it wasn't just that he made plays, but he graded out well and was in the right places and really contributed to, you know, a short yardage stop on 3rd down. Not the one on 4th down as much, but the one on 3rd down. So, you know, he had an outstanding game, really played well, and affected everyone else with his leadership.
Chase.
Coach, I want to ask you a little more about Alfred McCullough. Can you talk about his value as being a versatile 5th-year senior who can back things up at several different spots up front?
Right. Well, he did a really good job in the game playing right guard. played well for us, and you know, he can play right guard, left guard, and he's athletic enough to play tackle, even though he doesn't have maybe the prototype size, because he is a good athlete. He does a pretty good job, you know, for us when he has to play tackle. So when you have guys like that, you know, especially in the offensive line, it makes it so much easier to be able to get your best guys, you know, out there. And you know, I felt like that we had 7 guys when we had Cyrus and Alfred, that if those guys played, there wasn't really any drop-off at all, you know. And we have other guys that are very capable guys, and they've got a lot of turns, a lot of reps, had a lot of experience playing this year, and I'm sure they'll do a good job if they get an opportunity. But you know, now Alfred, you know, really is helpful because he can play so many places.
Can you touch on the specific differences in the third quarter? The last 3 have been so dominating for Alabama. What's the biggest difference?
I don't know that, you know, we make adjustments in the game. Sometimes we see things that, you know, we saw quite a few things in this game from them offensively that we had not prepared for. Formation variables, you know, 3 receivers, motioning one of them in the backfield to make I formation. You know, things that we really hadn't practiced against. Our guys did a good job of adapting and adjusting, you know, in the game. I think the biggest difference, you know, in this particular game was we played very well offensively in the third quarter. And, you know, in some of the other games we got turnovers and made big plays. Nothing really specific stands out other than, you know, we want to start fast and finish strong. I think our coaches do a really good job at halftime of making adjustments, but I think we've done a little better job of coming out and executing in the second half as well.
Second, with so much surrounding this game coming up next week, what's the hardest part for you as a coach to keep everything focused?
To get our players not to think about everything that's surrounding the game. That'll be the hardest part, and focus on what they need to do just to play good football in the game, and not worry about all the stuff that's going on outside the game and all that. Because if you're a good competitor and you're playing to be the best player that you can be, and you're preparing to be the best player that you can be, you know, this game is a very, very important game, but every game we played is a very important game. Because if you don't win the last one, the next one's not so important. And the one after this one will be real important too. So, you know, you always want your team to improve, and you always want your team to play the best, and it's going to certainly take our best effort from every guy on our team to, you know, play with a very good LSU team and have an opportunity to be successful. And that's our goal, but that's our goal in every game. So, you know, not to get affected by the circumstances surrounding the game is probably the key to being able to play a really good game. To be able to focus on what you need to do to play good football.
Ken?
Working on a Courtney Upshaw story. The Courtney now isn't the Courtney that you saw when you arrived here. What has allowed him, you know, to separate him from other players in his development, I guess, over these last
Well, you know,
years?
Courtney was a good player when he came here. He just has gotten a lot bigger and a lot stronger. He probably weighed 240, and you know, now he's 260. You know, he's stronger. I think that he played mostly with his hand under it in high school, so he'd never been a stand-up player before. I think that when players play a different position in high school, maybe their transition is a little more difficult when they go to college. I mean, you see it sometimes with some of these quarterbacks that try to make receivers and things like that. But so he had never played standing up before, and as he developed confidence in those types of things, I think he played faster and with more confidence, and he's always been a good pass rusher. He's certainly improved in that regard, and I think his, you know, physical strength and additional power that he plays with, because he is a power player, it helps him in pass rush. So, you know, he has worked really hard since he's been here in every regard, but I'm not surprised that he has become the player that he's become based on the player that we brought here. to be and what he's sort of invested his time to become.
John?
I'll ask a follow-up about the linebackers. Dante and Courtney seem to be kind of, to me, seem kind of prototypes for the things that you want guys in their position to be able to do in a game, their size, their speed, and athleticism. True, do they just kind of fit what you do?
There's no doubt. You know, both those guys are really good players, and you know, we in our defense, because if you play a 3-4, you like guys that are a little bigger because they do have to take on blockers. When you play a 4-3, you can get away a little bit more with a smaller, faster guy. Still got to be a good football player, but maybe doesn't have to take on blocks quite as much. And these guys do a good job of that, as well as they're very instinctive and play fast. And you know, the play recognition, key, diagnose, whatever you want to call it for linebackers, is always critical. How fast a guy recognizes and plays, and how the players play in front of them help them make plays as well. So, you know, and those guys both do a really good job in that, in all of the above.
Ted?
Nick, along the line of the question before about the anticipation level, does having the week off then make it better, worse, or no difference?
Well, you know, you never know until you go out there and play. You know, you can do studies on bye weeks and how did we come off a bye week when we did it this way, and how did we come off a bye week when we did it some other that way. And I think you just got to have some faith, trust, and confidence in the way that you manage the bye week. It's going to help your players come off and be able to play well and improve. I think when you're playing well, you really like the routine, you know, of game week. Everybody does the same thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, go play the game. And I felt like we were in a good routine, but I also felt like in the last couple of weeks, you know, we've gotten a little bit beat up physically, to where we lost a couple players, but also had some guys playing that needed a little rest and time to recover. So hopefully this will help us from a physical standpoint. I'm hopeful that our guys can sort of take a business-like approach to this early on, so that the emotional and psychological sort of aspects of this game doesn't get to them too quickly and create an anxiety that might be able to affect them, you know, not in a positive way. And just, you know, be mature enough to understand the most important thing is, you know, the effort that they play with, the toughness they play with, the discipline to execute and do their job, and know that they're going to play against, you know, the best football players that they played against all year and the best football team. So that's a challenge that they should all sort of enjoy as competitors, and they all been in some games before that they should know what it takes to be successful in these kind of games.
Last one, Don.
You know, you prepare for opponents by looking at film, but also looking at statistics, crunch numbers. What jumps out at you about LSU's offense, and what jumps out about your defense?
Well, you know what? I don't probably do as much number crunching as a lot of people. You know, we look at the technical aspects, and you know, sometimes, you know, I for instance, you know, I might look at who gets the ball on third down. You know, who do they go to on third down, and what position is he in when they go to him on third down? But that may not make that guy the leading receiver, but it may mean he's a go-to guy in certain instances, in certain formations, in certain situations. So I'm not a big statistical guy, but I think that when a team is ranked highly in offense, defense, and special teams, as our next opponent is, that means that they have taken a pretty full body of work and done a really good job with it, and you're going to have to do a really good job to be able to match it. But when it comes to a lot of individual statistics and things like that, I'm more